Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, October 11th, 2017. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Root crop farmers here are being given the opportunity to benefit more, as St. Vincent and the Grenadines is expected to increase its share in exports of the commodity to the United States. This was announced earlier today by Minister of Agriculture, Soboto Caesar, at a media conference addressing various issues in relation to the sector. Minister Caesar stated that Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines had previously entered into an agreement where SVG would have 40% of the supply market to the United States, with Dominica getting the remaining percentage. The Agriculture Minister, however, noted that since the passing of the recent hurricanes, which caused extensive damage to the agriculture sector in Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is expected to supply much more produce, thus opening an opportunity for local farmers.
Reports from the technicians in Dominica, they have noted that with the destruction, St. Vincent and the Grenadines will be called upon to do 80% of the export, and they would have to attempt to satisfy the remaining 20%. It means that commodities such as dasheen, ginger, eddos, and yams, that from a ministry standpoint, we have to increase the quantities of planting material available for farmers. Or extension staff, we have to increase our coverage, and the factors of production would have to be addressed in a different way, taking into consideration the new load.
Minister Caesar said traders from Dominica will be in SVG and will be visiting stakeholders in order to secure commodities from Vincentian farmers.
Will be welcoming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines a cadre of traders from Dominica to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines and to speak to consolidators, to purchase goods from consolidators in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, to export commodities from our farmers to the traditional markets hitherto served by the Commonwealth of Dominica. In other words, we have invited traffickers from Dominica to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to speak to stakeholders here so that they can get commodities from St. Vincent and the Grenadines to sell to, for example, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat.
The Agriculture Minister also took the opportunity to assure Vincentian traders that they will not be left out and highlight opportunities for trade with the Leeward Islands.
It is very important that I underscore that while we will be working with stakeholders, traders from Dominica, this does not prevent Vincentian traders and traffickers from exploring markets in the Leeward Islands, the USVI and the BVI, because we have for many years been trading in these areas and we have a percentage of the market share in these islands already. What is envisaged is that over the next 6 months, St. Vincent and the Grenadines traffickers, traders will be occupying larger spaces in the market share in these islands, and traders from Dominica will be coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines to see how far they can also keep their relationships.
The youth of this country are being encouraged not only to exploit opportunities in the agriculture sector, but also to utilize the knowledge and skills they would have gained through formal education to benefit the sector. This advice comes from head of the Banana Services Unit, Kamaru Brown, who highlighted at a youth agriculture symposium on Tuesday the number of opportunities available in the sector. Brown stated that information technology has the potential potential to benefit the sector and highlight areas which the youth can explore.
Or for persons with the interests of ICT's development of apps, agriculture is one of the growing areas that you can focus on. Wouldn't it be nice to know a farmer could stay in his field and access a smartphone and identify all the diseases that he has affecting his crops? Wouldn't it be simple enough wouldn't it be ideal so that a farmer could go in his field, in his sweet peppers or in his tomatoes, and be able to take a picture and identify what is the cause of this disease and how it's remedied? Wouldn't it be ideal if a farmer can check his phone and realize there's a market that needs 50 pounds of sweet pepper, 20 pounds of tomatoes, 40 pounds of cabbages, and he knows that he has it and the price is adequate, and he could make a direct contact with that market? Now, these are just some of the things that we need to look at within our ICT programs.
The Banana Services Unit head stated that health, particularly that of the youth, is also important, and pointed out areas where the youth can bring benefit to themselves, the health and education sectors.
For the secondary school students, what do they normally sell in the tuck shops? We sell bakes, chicken and chips. Now, the majority of this is imported food. Now, there's an opportunity that we have that we could target, particularly the schools, where we could start with the school feeding program. I mean, we have ground provisions, we have fruits and vegetables that can be consumed. For instance, guavas. Guavas have more nutrients than apples, but yet children prefer to eat apples. Because why? Because they hear about apples, they don't hear about guavas. You don't hear about pineapples. You don't hear about passion fruit. You don't hear about mangoes. Now, these are just some of the areas that we could touch on.
Brown further encouraged the youth to examine their own skills and knowledge and utilize them in taking the agriculture sector forward.
There's also the use of aquaculture, hydroponics, and these are simply the integration of different systems. Now, these are things just to strike the mind, just to have the youths thinking. These are potential business ideas that can be used. So, in closing, I would like to say to the youths, agriculture is a profitable venture, as like any other venture, as like any other business venture. The same things that you would apply to any other business, your marketing studies, your market assessments, your production plans. Anything that you would apply to a regular business can also be applied to agriculture. But the difference is you actually get to see your fruits develop.
This country will see further improvements in the health sector. That's according to Minister of Health and the Environment, Luke Brown. Speaking at a recent handing over ceremony of supplies from the corporate sector to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, Minister Brown said that an oncology unit and hemodialysis are among the upgrades coming to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital.
The hospital currently we sorting out just so that we could strengthen the treatment of patients with cancer at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. We are currently setting up an oncology unit there with all the required biosafety safeguards in place, and that is a development, and that is a development to which donors from today have contributed. So we have oncology on the way. We're looking to have an emergency hemodialysis unit at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital too. We're continuing with our treatment of diabetes patients through Hepaprop P, and the indications are that the use of this drug has led to a reduction in the number of amputations. And we're also looking forward to a project with the Republic of China and Taiwan, a $2 million or so project, a diabetes project that would help us with the prevention and treatment and care of diabetes.
The Health and Environment Minister encouraged the private sector to continue to do more to help with the overall development of the nation.
There's a saying where your treasure is, there your heart is also. And by the contributions which are being made here by the private sector, and in this particular members of the private sector, they are indicating that their heart is with healthcare. Their heart is with patients who might be suffering. Their heart is with people who need their help in a real way and in a direct way, and we appreciate them for that.
In keeping with the global initiative of raising public awareness about breast cancer, the SVG Medical Association is inviting the general public to join them in the traditional breast cancer awareness Pink Cap City Walk and Rally to take place this Friday, October 13, 2017, beginning at Heritage Square at 3:30 p.m. The C.W. Prescott Primary School Drum Corps is expected to accompany the walk, and performances at the rally include appearances by popular local artists Bobani, Rodney Small, Jomo Francis, Donnelly Francis, and Catherine Bacchus, as well as the Legacia dancers. Each year, the organization brings the issues of breast cancer and highlights the measures which women can take to recognize and manage the problems related to breast cancer. This year as well, the SVG Medical Association will also stage the 5K Pink Run on Sunday, October 15th from Annisville, just outside the Plainfield Pavilion, and end at the Lotto Tennis Court at Richmond Hill. In other news, a suspected burglar, Leon Samuel, a resident of New Montrose, was reportedly shot and killed yesterday afternoon by members of the SVG police force in the Cane Garden area. Reports reaching SVG-TV News are that the police were responding to a burglary in the upscale East Kingston community when they discovered Samuel and another suspect, Kirk Williams. Further information received that the men were ordered to leave the house and Samuel refused to comply with the officers and instead attacked them with an implement. Samuel received a gunshot wound and was rushed to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries. The other suspect, Kirk Williams, is in police custody. Local contractors and builders can do their part to protect the environment by using smart package cements introduced to the local market by Correa's Hazels Inc. at a demonstration ceremony on Tuesday at the Diamond Woods facility. The technical advice coordinator at Argo Cement, Jocelyn Dela Cruz, highlighted the benefits for the smart packaging, noting that it allows builders to utilize the packaging in the mixing process. Dela Cruz added that so far the reaction from contractors have been great.
This is the first destination that we are giving this product, and the idea is to have the same properties in the concrete as you threw the bag directly to the mixer. You won't have waste, you will reduce cost, you don't need a person, people cutting the bag and using the content. You can use 100% of the content, so you will use more cement because you don't have waste paper or more cement in the environment. You don't have dust, so you have less content with this smart pack. Of course, they were surprised. They were asking, where is the bag? Where is the gun? How it works? It's magic. They were asking that type of question, but okay, it's not magic. It's just a new technology. That's what we are working on. And the idea is that everyone, contractors, concrete producers, they try the bag and they show with their own eyes that it's true, and they have to take all the advantage of the product in the concrete and even in the mortar.
Dela Cruz gave the assurance that the packaging mixed with the cement will have no negative effect on the integrity of the mix of the finished product.
The strain, they will be the same, even the temperature, the setting time. So it's just one material that will disappear, that it will dissolve. You don't have to take into account your mix design. You will use the same mix design as before, but you will have all the advantage. You won't have waste of paper. You won't have contact with the product. You don't have to cut it. So it's a really good solution, and it will be a faster solution to produce for the concrete manufacturer or mortar manufacturer. Yeah, and it looks more, the cohesion is different. So the workability of the concrete even is better because it's easy to place, and it gives you that cohesion, so you won't have segregation in the concrete, you won't have problems with the workability. So at the end it will be easy to place, depending of course all mixed design. All that you need you can do it with the bag. All the mixed designs you can do it, all the quantities depending of your needs, depending of the slump that you need, depending of the strength, you can work with all the content.
Earlier today at the NIS conference room, several persons presented their application ideas to be judged in the open category of the preliminary stage of the NTRC I-Square competition. Groups Alpha, Tech Elevation, Green Spin and CPP were amongst those who presented their application ideas for judging today. Harris Moore.
Mr. Chairman, with this mobile app, it will provide jobs for people and decrease the unemployed rate. Less people on the streets and less drugs. As you can see, the majority of gangs and drug dealers in SVG are those who have been dropped out of school and who didn't get a secondary education.
Our solution: a social platform. You can feature your craft with pictures, get feedback, appreciation, comments and boosting, and share what you are currently making with new products. Just kidding. It's not just a social platform. It's the marriage between social platform and crowdfunding.
The app is intended to work along with a stationary bike that generates electricity as you spin the pedal. So therefore, the faster you pedal, the more energy is generated.
Our future plans will be to create a gym class with over 50 of these stationary bikes, all hooked up to the next grid system, or even the possibility of storing it in batteries.
WeOwn seeks to solve the problem of the general public not being able to attain the item that they desire specifically locally, while providing small businesses or entrepreneurs with a platform, a mobile platform through which they can advertise their products, as opposed to having to import items from Amazon, eBay, etc.
In other news, the Association of Evangelical Churches in the country is assuring the public that churches here are still vibrant, according to newly elected President Pastor Renald Murray. Unlike the Orthodox churches, evangelical houses of worship go under different names. He said although churches are making an impact, their message seems to be lost because they are fragmented.
What the association has been doing over the years is to try to create a link between all of these different Christian entities in the country in order to give a single voice. Because generally when you hear about the Christian community and you hear the churches say this, it's generally the established churches, as we call them, right? The Orthodox churches. And the churches do a lot of great work, and they're constantly working. For example, the church that I passed up, Revival Center up in Morris Village, we're always in the community. We're working with our young people. We're working with the community. We're always in the community doing things. But people don't see us because it's just one little church in one community. They don't hear a national voice. But just as we are that one little church in that little community, there are other little churches in every other little community throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines doing things. They're sending children to school. They're looking after old people. They're burying the dead. They're counseling those who are bereaved. They're doing all of this wonderful work, but it is not coordinated, so nobody hears.
Pastor Murray said it is the mandate of the church to do good without being boastful, but this can also be interpreted as the church being dormant, as many of their initiatives are not visible.
I think a lot of people are looking for scapegoats, somebody to blame for things that are going wrong. For example, in the same area where I pastor, there have been 2 killings there in the not too distant future, in close succession. But we're in that community consistently working with the people and trying to bring them out of that kind of situation. So to ask us, where are we? I'd like to ask the people who are asking that question if they ever look to see what we are doing, because we're all on the ground. And that is the case for nearly all of the churches in the country. Now, the other problem is that if you were ready to take a poll, you have about 20 to 30,000 people that are generally under the category, might be more, under the category of the evangelical Christian community. But you don't hear them as a single entity, and for that reason their voices are not heard. And so I refer to them as being silent, because nobody hears what they're doing. Additionally, the church is not in blowing its trumpet, oh, I just took care of 26 people over there, or I fed a family over here. But when one of the social clubs do that, you hear it all over the news. Our assignment is not to blow a trumpet when we do good. Our assignment is to do good and make it count.